Hey all, Tom Moran here from Tom's Big Spiders, about to do something very different this time around because it's not going to be spiders we're focusing on or tarantulas. We're going to be looking at some scorpions. I get a ton of requests to look at my scorpion collection, which I do have quite a few species of scorpions. I just don't see them all out very much. Plus, I got to add the fact that my channel is mostly focused on tarantulas. The majority of people that come to my channel are looking for tarantula information, and I am by no means a scorpion expert. In fact, I'm still very fresh to keeping scorpions. I mean, I've kept emperors over the years and things of, things of that nature, some of the easier ones, but this is kind of a newer thing for me. So I don't feel like I'm an authority or should be putting anything out there that people might construe as me giving information or advice on them. I'm not to that point yet. So anyway, I was able to catch the majority of them out and about. So what you're going to see now is kind of a quick overview of some of the ones I keep and some footage of them. Some of them I had to move their hides a little bit to get footage, so I didn't keep the video very long. So anyway, enough of me talking. Let's look at some scorpions. Okay, so is everybody ready for me to butcher some scientific names for scorpions? Unfortunately, I'm not as well versed at these, so I'm going to apologize in advance. This one here is Heterometrus lodicus, or the Asian forest scorpion. I picked this one up a while back. I think it was only a second instar at that point, but she's put on, I'm still struggling with the sexing. And again, one of the reasons I don't put up a lot of scorpion videos is because I am not anywhere near an expert at scorpions. I don't consider myself an expert at tarantulas, but I think I know what I'm doing. These guys I'm still learning, so I don't want people thinking I'm, giving information and how to keep them, because I'm not. But I do keep this one moist. She's going to be getting a new enclosure pretty soon. And as you can see, she's a little feisty. All right, the next one up I do feel I can talk about pretty well is the Centroidus gracilis, or the Florida bark scorpions. This is the one I had bought a couple separately, and then I found a female with a bunch of babies on her back at a pet store. Well, these are some of the babies. I love these guys. Again, I give them a hide with the cork bark. I've got some moist substrate in there, and they're really sturdy, hardy scorpions overall. I've had no issues with them whatsoever. I did plan on doing a communal with them at some point, but unfortunately I kind of abandoned that only because I want to be able to keep an eye on them. I do want to try to breed these. I have a couple males, and I'm going to be making up some nicer enclosures and putting a male and a female in it to see what happens, and hopefully we'll get some babies on them because I do like them. And you'll see they can have that reddish coloration, the maroon on the legs. I did have a male that I still have them that you can't see here, that's really kind of a nice color red, but gorgeous scorpions, very hardy, easy to keep, great eaters. I love watching these guys two-hand some of the crickets I feed them. All right, next up we have Rhopalurus Junceus. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I was just practicing it for about 20 minutes before I finally said it. This is the red scorpion, or the Cuban scorpion, or the blue scorpion. I believe they call it in Cuba because the venom is blue, but an awesome species. I got this one a second instar. I believe this one's full grown. Not sure if it's male or female. And again, for you scorpion folks out there that are watching this, feel free to chime in. I'm still learning, and is confident as I am in some areas with tarantulas, I am very insecure about when speaking about scorpions, because again, it's something new for me. But I love this one. I do keep it, she's always right out in the open on the cork bark. I do keep the substrate moist. She's been a good eater, or he, but you can see here just an awesome looking scorpion as she tries to get away from the camera light, because nobody wants cameras shined right in their faces. Next up, we have Grosphus Granddaddy, or Granddaddy, I believe it's pronounced, but I'm sure somebody will correct me. Love this one. This is another one that's going to be getting a new home pretty soon. You can see here she is quite fat, great eater, very spunky, usually spends most of his or her time underneath that cork bark, but this day I happened to take it out and she was roaming all around the enclosure. But I love the looks of them, and I have to be honest, I bought it because I just love the name. That was what attracted me to it. Obviously I did my research beforehand, but this one's been doing great. I will moisten down a corner every once in a while, like spray a corner, give it a place to drink, but I haven't caught it drinking yet. Mostly it's kept dry. That's, I believe, a combination of cocoa fiber, peat, and some sand. But love this one. It's been a good grower, a really good eater. This is one of the ones that sometimes I will give it a cricket for each of its claws, and it'll sit there taking turns biting the crickets, which is in turn horrifying but incredibly fascinating. See here, I honestly thought it was going to go hide for a bit, but it did not. All right, next up we have Smiringus Mezentius or the Dune Scorpion, and love this one. I love the yellow scorpions. There's just something about them. This one I've had for quite a while. He's molted about 2 times in my care. I think not one of the faster growers. Pretty good eater. Again, one of the ones that sometimes you'll catch it with a cricket or roach in both claws. I keep it mostly on the dry side, but I do moisten down a corner or so just in case, and I do give them water dishes. And remember, with the scorpions, it's a little different from tarantulas, where we're constantly talking about the fact they won't drown in water dishes. You don't want to give scorpions a particularly large water dish because they can get in them and can drown. That's a difference there. But I love this little one here. This one just molted and has been eating up again, fattening up again, but just a cool little one. Usually a bit more spunky, but kind of laid back in this one. All right, so this big, beautiful yellow girl, unfortunately, she's usually out and about and a lot more spunky, but she was kind of hiding in a corner, so this will be a shorter one. But this is my Ahydrous Arizonensis pallidus, which I believe the pallidus is a junior synonym of the giant desert hairy scorpion, but gorgeous, big scorpion, like easily one of the biggest ones in my collection, probably about the same size, close to the same size as my female Emperor Scorpion was, but just a cool one. This is another one again. She's an amazing eater. I at one point have a picture of her somewhere where she has a cricket in her mouth and then she's holding a cricket in each of her claws, which was quite cool. But really awesome spider. She's a little bit high strung, and this is one that has struck at me. The majority of my scorpions, they run and hide. I don't get many strikes from any of them. This one will not hesitate to flip out that tail and try to tag you. And I do have some feeding videos with her where you can see she gets a little upset at me trying to get her to eat a cricket, and she's striking at me. And next up, one of my favorites, Tydeus stigmurus. This is my Tydeus stigmurus communal I have. Now, this is a species that can produce without their parthenogenetic, which means they can reproduce without being bred. So if you have a specimen by itself and you don't introduce a male, or they can have babies. And I proved this with my first one, which I got one, never bred her, came in one day and she had a bunch of babies on her back. And these are the first and second brood of babies that I got from her. And you can see they're gorgeous little guys, and they live perfectly together communally. These were the ones that I mentioned. I did a video a while back where I was having some problems with them being devoured by the isopods, so I no longer keep isopods in there, just springtails, but awesome scorpions. And this here is the hobby staple Pandinus imperator, or the Emperor Scorpion. These are one of the babies that I produced, one of the smaller ones. Now, what happened was I originally kept the babies together kind of communally. They were doing great. They were putting on massive amount of size, but then I noticed one of them I thought was missing, so I dug them up and took the 2 smaller ones out and kept the two of the bigger ones together. The 2 that I kept together are probably close to twice the size of this one and the other one. The 2 big ones, I don't know if it's just having the competition for food, or they tend to stay in the same burrow together, but like my communal tarantulas, they seem to be growing faster. So those are now probably from claw to tail, all this stretch out probably about 3.5 inches, while this one here is about 2.5, and they're just much beefier. But you can see, cool little guy here. I felt bad because I did move its burrow so I could get some shots of it, so it's scrambling around trying to get away from the light. And now we're on to this little guy here, which is Parabuthus rhodus. This one here is growing a little bit of a slow grower, but it's still a beautiful little spider, and it does have a hide. I just want to point out that I did pluck the hide out. Again, trying to get video of these guys has been very, very difficult as I awkwardly readjust the camera there. But you can see spunky little one, quite fat. These guys do need to be kept warmer. I have a shelf that's kept much higher than the rest of the tarantula. I'm very fortunate because I have a snake that has a heat lamp on it, and the shelf over the heat lamp is always much warmer than the rest of the room, so it kind of gives them a hot spot. I am also looking at creating some type of glass enclosure that I can heat the enclosure to give these guys a little more heat, because unlike tarantulas where they can deal with not having those high temperatures, these guys, some of these species do need those higher temperatures. And here we have the North African species Buthus dra. I love this little guy. It usually has a lot more attitude. It was like this particular day I took everything out to film them, and I was expecting to see some more spunky scorpions, but they remained very well behaved, which is good, I guess. But usually this one's flying all around the enclosure. Every once in a while I'll get a little swipe of the tail from it. But awesome little species, great eater, voracious eater, will take down prey items that seem to be almost the same size as it is, but also quite secretive. I don't catch them out all that often. And again, this one usually has a piece of cork bark to hide under there. I will occasionally spray down a corner to give it a moist spot, but I don't want to keep it too moist for these guys. And I also give them little shallow water dishes, but for this one I was trying to get some shots of it, and after this I put everything back in and let it go back to its home and calm down a little bit. All right, and all you Scorpion folks out there that know what you're talking about, please feel free to chime in this one, but I believe it's Hovis Confusus, but there is some confusion because what I originally had it labeled as, I looked up the information, couldn't find anything on it. I had to go back through my videos, and I believe this is the one that I had in the video mentioned is Hovis Confusus. Not sure where I got that other name from. Apparently, I had a brain fart or something and mislabeled it, but if anybody looks at this and says that is not P. Confusus, please chime in with what you think it is. Again, this is a little dude, probably about 4th instar now. Eats really well, but it was really teeny tiny when I got it, and now it's finally putting on some decent size. And as you can see there, I've plucked out the hide again to get views of them. I normally don't do this, and I kind of felt bad, but I've had people asking for Scorpion videos for quite some time, and I haven't been able to provide any because I don't see them out this much. Oh, no, there's the cork bark. And actually, I caught it out and about. Never mind, take that back. It was actually out and about. I knew one of them was. But as you can see, they're a cute little guy, and yes, I did clean out those carcasses after we were done. And finally, we got Genies Troglodyte, or the flat rock scorpion, a little slow grower one. You can see there I made a little hide for it out of slate and kind of glued it together so that it would have that flat rock thing. That's going to be getting a rehousing soon because I think after the next molt, it's probably not going to be able to squeeze into that, so I got to get something else. But love these guys. This was one of, back in the 90s when I first got into tarantulas and scorpions, this was like my dream scorpion, and I went to go buy one, and the guy actually sold it the day I was supposed to come up there and get it, so I was very happy to get one. This one has molted, I believe, 3 times since I've got it. But again, slow growers, very slow growers, but very cool looking scorpion. Mine's a little tentative with the eating. Like sometimes I'll drop prey items in, and where my other ones will just snatch them right up. This one won't eat during daylight, but when I come the next day, the prey items are usually gone. So there we go. That was the last one. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to catch all the scorpions, but I got a lot of them this time around. In a future one, I'll try to update it and get some more footage of the ones that I wasn't able to include here. All right, so again, hope you enjoyed that. For those of you who keep tarantulas, there is a lot to love and a lot of similarities between keeping tarantulas and scorpions, but there are also some differences. So don't feel like you're going to go right in, ease into the hobby, do everything exactly the same way you do with tarantulas and have success. It's not that simple. And that's one of the things I'm learning as I go through. But again, I was able to catch most of them on there, which I was happy about. Hopefully I didn't butcher the names as much as I think I did. Part of the problem is I've had so many years practice saying the scientific names of tarantulas through the videos and now the podcast that I'm kind of a little more comfortable with it, even though I still mess them up all the time. With the scorpions, different ball game. I don't usually speak them aloud as often. So for those of you that keep scorpions that are watching this video and you're cringing every time I mispronounce one, my humblest apologies. So anyway, that'll about do it for this video. As always, if you like this enough to subscribe, just know that I usually don't do scorpions. I'm usually a tarantula guy. You can click that right up there. If you want to check out some more of my videos, they're going to be in here. As always, love getting comments. Try to answer every single one of them. And I hope to see you guys around next time.